And welcome to News 360. We are live from the News Hub here in Accra. I am Isa Moni.
And I'm Natalie Fort. The look at the top stories this evening here on News 360. Hearing on Asin MP.
360 Headlines is brought to you by Deluxepaint, Heaven Black Mosquito Coil and Spray.
Now, hearing on Asin MP Kennedy Ejapong's alleged denigrating of Parliament reduced to Senmatics.
Also, Barry reactions greet the appointment of the Executive Director of Institute of Economic Affairs, Jane Mensah, as new chairperson of the Electoral Commission.
Also ahead this evening, Ghana National Association of Teachers and Concerned Teachers Association of Ghana laud governments for adopting the double intake system for senior high schools.
And moving on to business, Monetary Policy Committee of Bank of Ghana maintains policy rate at 17%.
And on the foreign front this evening on News 360, militant Islamists stormed military base in southern Somalia after detonating a suicide car bomb. Well, stay with us here on News 360 as we bring you the details of these stories and many more. We're also streaming live all across the world on 3news.com and TV3 Ghana on Facebook. And our very first story this evening. President Akufo-Addo has nominated the Executive Director of the Institute of Economic Affairs, Jane Mensah, to be considered for appointment as the new chairperson of the Electoral Commission.
The President has also nominated the Director of Elections at the Electoral Commission, Samuel Tete, and Head of the Political Science Department of the University of Ghana, Dr. Eric Asari-Bosman, to be considered for appointment as Deputy Chairpersons, and Corporate Legal Practitioner Adjoa Isioma Abrefa as a Commission member following the retirement from office of a member of the Commission, Pauline Adobia Dajawa, on Monday, April 30. The development follows the removal from office of former chairperson of the EC, Charlotte Osei, and the two deputies, Amadou Sule and Georgina Opoku-Amankwa, after the committee established by the Chief Justice, Justice Sophia Ekufo, to investigate petitions brought against them, recommended their removal.
So here's a brief profile of the four persons selected by the President to run the affairs of the Electoral Commission. Now, Mrs. Jane Adukwe Mensah is currently the Executive Director of the Institute of Economic Affairs, that's IEA. She's also served as a coordinator of the Ghana Political Parties Program, and she's a legal practitioner, and she's specified on policy research and advocacy. Now, she's also been involved in the development of various policies, including the Presidential Transition Act, that is, of 2012, the revised 1992 Constitution of Ghana Act, and the Political Parties Funding Bill. Now, Dr. Eric Asari-Bosman is selected as well as a Deputy EC Chair. Now, he currently serves as head of the Department of Political Science, that's at the University of Ghana. He's also been the author of policy papers specified on international politics, democracy in the country as well. Now, also on the list is Mrs. Adjoa Abrefa. She is the General Manager of Legal and Corporate Affairs at Cyrus Oil Services, and she's a legal practitioner, really working in the areas of land and property acquisitions, corporate law, as well as corporate governance. Now, these are the people on the list as selected by the President to run the affairs of the Electoral Commission. Isa.
Right, definitely we'll do some more on this story. The NPP and the PPP have expressed confidence in the new EC boss. They want the new EC leadership to implement the Representation of the People's Amendment Act, while the CPP is calling for a total transformation of the Commission.
What I would say is that they've been appointed. I think that the President has consulted with the National Council of State, and therefore they've been duly appointed. Our EC need personnel who are apolitical, who are balanced, who help steer the affairs of our democracy.
People who undertake the real job are still there, and they'll get it done. For us, we are thinking about ROPA. We are thinking about amendment and implementation of the political parties law, we are talking about cleaning of the bloated register. These are things that the Electoral Commission must do to give it some credibility.
The CPP expects the new EC leadership to focus on transforming the commission.
For us as a CPP, we are looking at the need for institutional and structural reforms at the Electoral Commission. A lot of the challenges that surfaced, which resulted into a lot of the internal wranglings that we saw play out in the public domain, were symptoms of fundamental structural issues that have to do with the law that created the Electoral Commission.
You're watching News 360, and we're going to speak to Professor Ransford Gyampo, who is a political scientist and a former senior research fellow at the Institute of Economic Affairs, where he worked with Madam Jean Mensa for 14 years. Prof, it's good to speak to you on News 360. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Right, so the president says he will do a broad consultation before the appointment. Does it appear to you he did just that in the appointment of Madam Jean Mensa?
Well, I don't know. I'm not a magician. I wasn't consulted. And if it's about consultation, I want to believe that it is something that may have taken place behind the scenes and all that. So I do not know whether he consulted or not. But anytime such consultations will take place, they will take place behind the scenes. So,
well, yeah, Prof, concerns have emerged about the political affiliation of Madam Jean Mensa and also her credibility crisis. For example, in 2011, she is alleged to have put a story on the website of the Electoral Commission, that on IEA's website, which was titled IEA Slams NPP for Abuse of Incumbency. And with this at the back of the mind of a lot of people, why must Ghanaians have confidence in her that she will be fair?
Well, I don't know whether you have been in Ghana for that long, but everybody who is politically switched on knows the contribution of Jean Mensa to Ghana's democratic advancement, and then also in our quest to deepen inter-party dialogue, among political parties in Ghana. And so I don't know about the issues you're raising regarding her credibility. This is a woman who has been able to bring together political parties' representation in parliament to dialogue and to discuss issues of national concerns in an apolitical manner for over a decade. The platform that was institutionalized at the IE, called the Ghana Political Parties Program, was always discussing issues of national importance in an apolitical manner, and she was the head of the program. And with that, she was able to work with the political parties to get their consensus and bipartisan acceptance on key issues. Indeed, the review of the 1992 Constitution was the call that was first made by the Ghana Political Parties Program, the program that she, chaired and all that. And so in doing so, I'm sure he's been able to, over the years, win the respect and credibility, and then also the good name from the political parties. If you care to know, I'll tell you that the IEB has played a leading and key role in strengthening and building the capacity of political parties since 2002, when the Ghana political parties, started. And in so doing, they fund all their capacity building activities, and they pay monthly stipends to their general secretaries and policy analysts. They've done this for over a decade. And this, in my view, has endeared her to the political parties. The Ghana Political Parties Program seems more institutionalized, even than the Inter-Party Advisory Committee, of the Electoral Commission. And so I think if you are looking for somebody who is more credible, hardworking, to be able to work with political parties, she is the person to go for. And so I hail the appointment. I commend the president. Jean Mensa has what it takes to turn the fortunes of the Electoral Commission around. He was the first person to host a national program that was aimed at brainstorming on proposals for electoral reforms. and she was among the first to convene a program, an event that led to the submission of key proposals of electoral reform to the Electoral Commission. And there are so many proposals that have not reformed. She is the best person to be there to oversee the implementation of these proposals to ensure that we fine-tune our electoral processes so that the processes will be able to deliver results that are acceptable to all.
Right. So, Prof, you know the appointment of or the nomination of Madam Jane Mensah has already generated some heat, particularly from the opposition NDC. Does it appear to you that somewhere along the line some kind of consensus will be achieved?
Well, I want to hope so, because the opposition used to be, they were all members of the Ghana Political Parties program. The General Secretary, Asiedun Ketia, was the chairperson of the Ghana Political Parties program. And so if there are issues, I'm sure they can be ironed out. But what exactly is the issue they have? I keep asking and I keep wondering, what exactly is the substantive issue they have against Jane Mensah? I don't think there is any. And we should be mindful of this. Partisan politics is not just about trivialities. It's about issues of substance, particularly as we move forward in consolidating multi-party democracy and in advocating reforms that will bring about development. We shouldn't be petty. I mean, if you have some petty squabbles and scores to settle, I mean, they can be handled. But we are looking at the credibility, the competence and experience of people to man key institutions of state. And I think the president's choice must be applauded. I commend the president. Right. This is the second appointment that he has made that, for me, shows to me that the president really means well and is interested in building strong institutions. All right. Professor Ransford Jampo, a political scientist and also a former senior research fellow at the IEA who worked with Madam Jane Mensah for 14 years. Thank you for speaking to us.
Certainly, so I'll be bringing some more on that. But let's now turn to education, as government will implement the double intake system for new entrants into public senior high schools from September this year. President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo made this known in an address to education stakeholders in Tamale as part of his tour of the northern region.
The new system is intended to address the growing numbers of students benefiting from the free SHS policy. According to President Akufo-Addo, the 2018-2019 academic year will see a 31% increase in the enrollment of new students entering senior high school, translating into 472,000 new entrants, which has resulted in a deficit of some 183,000 students. Government intends to provide 96,403 mono desks, 33,171 dining hall furniture, 3,033 tables and chairs for teachers, 12,953 bank beds, 4,335 student mattresses, and 5,135 computer laboratory chairs to address the infrastructure deficit, but would not be adequate to address all issues of infrastructure.
Unfortunately, we have not been able to increase the infrastructure as rapidly as the numbers of entrants. But if you are prepared to find a way, you will find that way. And we have found a way to be able to absorb this intake. We call it the dual intake system that is going to allow us on a semester basis to address the challenge of this new population. We're doing it by, first of all, expanding the numbers of teachers. We're recruiting over 8,000 more teachers for the secondary schools this year than we had last year.
The double-track system, the president said, will create room to accommodate the increase in enrollment.
It will reduce class sizes, it will increase the contact hours, as well as increase the number of holidays. And all this is going to be achieved with the existing infrastructure. So we are moving to this intervention to be able to accommodate this larger population of secondary high school students. 5 far from it being an intervention that is new, it should be remembered that it has been tried elsewhere and found successful, especially because it has led to a reduction in class sizes and an increase in the contact hours that the teachers have with their students.
The result, the president assured, is going to be an even greater output as far as quality in the country's senior high school system is concerned. He therefore urged teachers, administrators, the parent-teacher associations, and the regional and district directors of education across the country to embrace this system and work to ensure that it succeeds.
And let's hang on a wee bit on education. Government would have spent 1.3 billion cedis on additional infrastructure to increase enrollment at the senior high level. The non-availability of funds has contributed to reasons for government to introduce the double-track system, which would enable government to achieve its intended purpose.
Report on congestion at various senior high schools in the country are common. The situation got worse following the introduction of the free senior high school program. In October last year, TV3 reported some senior high schools were facing infrastructural challenges. Affected schools had been compelled to admit more than the vacancy they declared. In addressing the problem and increasing enrollment, government has introduced a double-track system which is expected to start this September.
The double track will be able to split these students into two. On their placement form, they will have track A or track B on it. So if you have track A on it, it means that as soon as school reopens, you are going to be in class. Track B, who will be home and wait for the 41-day students to complete. They will wait, and when they are going after the 41 days, they are going straight 81 days. And that will be for the entire semester for that particular track. So then at the middle of the 81 days, that is the 41 days that they will be there, the first batch who went on holidays will now come back and come and complete with them.
Under this new stream, 9,000 more teachers would be employed at a cost of 237 million cedis. However, no teacher will be allowed to be on a double stream. He explained the intervention has been well planned and does not require piloting, especially when it will not affect the quality of education, and stakeholders had been consulted. Countries like Australia, Japan, United States and Kenya are reported to be reaping the benefits of the double stream system. However, the National Association of Graduate Teachers has cautioned government not to implement the policy in haste. This alone gives an indication there wasn't adequate consultation before deciding to roll out the policy in September this year. A situation the National Education Campaign Coalition has confirmed.
If we had consensus on this, let me tell you what we would have done. We would have agreed to pilot maybe this system for a year, by which time, by now, we would have been discussing 1 year of piloting the sandwich system. What are the key lessons moving forward? Then we plan properly. But look how we are. We started with the traditional system, which is very expensive, which we knew, and now we are saying that we have come to a crash.
The double stream system, which is a component of government's free senior high school program, is also intended to increase contact hours. But how sustainable would this be? Kwabna Edu Jemfi, TV3.
Watching News 360 on MTN Visual Reports this evening, our citizen journalist Otre Fred Echemfo highlights on the poor condition of a bridge at Bonso in the Ashanti region.
This is the condition of the bridge at Bonso. This is the bridge on which students pass to school every morning. But due to the rain, the condition of the bridge has become very bad. My name is Ocho Fred Echamfo, reporting for MTN Video Report TV3, Bonso, Kumasi in the Ashanti region.
Remember that you can also send your vision report via WhatsApp number. It's 05514330044. That's 05514330044. Live here on News 360 from the News Hub here at Addis Awakanda. We've got the latest of business news for you coming up shortly. Stay with us.
You're watching News 360. Thanks so much for staying with us. It's time for business. My name is Nanikia Mensah-Brampa. Beginning with tonight, the Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana has maintained the policy rate at 17% and citing marginal increase in inflation rate and the tumbling cedi. Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, says the economic fundamentals, though still strong, requires that the rates be maintained to allow for a rebound.
In assessing the balance of rates, the committee was of the view that although inflation had moved upwards in the recent readings, this came mainly from the effects of increases in administered prices of petroleum and transportation costs. The committee viewed that second-round effects from these relative price changes would not be significant enough to alter the inflation trajectory over the medium term. This would require continued fiscal consolidation together with tight monetary policy to keep inflation within the target band. Given the circumstances, especially with regards to the global outlook, the committee decided to maintain the monetary policy rate at 17%, while closely monitoring developments in the near term.
It is the first time this year that the central bank has maintained the policy rate. The last time the rate was maintained was in September last year. Consistently this year, the rate has been reviewed downward from 21 to 20 to 18 and now 17%. Analysts say the central bank's decision was expected.
If you listen to the account that was given by the Minister for Finance, it follows on from there that at the moment, the economy, especially the U.S. potential trade war, is such that everybody has to be cautious. So that caution was translated from the ministry to the Bank of Ghana.
That's what we expected, and I couldn't have expected otherwise, mainly because when you look at the trajectory of risk evolution since the second quarter of this year, particularly with the currency pressure that we experienced due to offshore investors exiting our bonds market and imposing a lot of pressure on the cedi. When you look at the fact that since the last MPC, we've seen 2 data point increases in headline inflation. And when you consider what happened last year with last week with the mid-year budget review, where some new tax measures were implemented with inflationary consequences, you would only have to expect the policy rate to be maintained at 17%.
Growth in key monetary aggregates slowed down significantly a year ago, consistent with the disinflation process and the ongoing cleaning up in the financial sector. Total public debt also declined from 67.3% of GDP in May to 63.8% of GDP at the end of May 2018.
And to one of our developing stories, branches of Midland Savings and Loans Company across the country were closed temporarily for business. This action comes after customers besieged the premises of the company demanding their deposits. And at a media briefing in Accra, Public Relations and Marketing Manager of Midland Savings and Loans, George Parker Hagen, described the assault of a 36-year-old client on the company's premises as regrettable.
The video, which went viral on social media, showing a policeman assigned to the Savings and Loans Company assaulting a woman who was carrying a baby at the headquarters of Midland Savings and Loans at Shiashi in Accra. Angry customers have since grouped at the various branches demanding their deposits. A notice posted in front of the banking hall said the branches will be opened on Tuesday, July 24. The victim, Patience Osafo, had refused to leave the banking hall after the company failed to allow her withdraw 270 Ghana cedis from her savings account. The staff asked the AK-47 wielding policeman to get her out, and in the process, assaulted her. The policeman at the center of the incident, Frederick Amano, also known as Scala, has since been arrested on the orders of the Inspector General of Police, David Asante Apietu, for investigations. Public Relations and Marketing Manager of the company, George Parker Hagan, condemned the action by the policeman and assured customers that the company would open for business on Tuesday, July 24.
I want to state as a company that we don't support the act. This is a one-off incident.
The police were present to maintain calm as many customers told journalists that the incident had caused them to lose confidence in the company.
I've been tracing this money, I think 2 weeks now, but as now I wasn't able to cash out my money. I want to close the account here and withdraw my money.
I did not want to close my account, but the incident was terrible.
5 workers of the Shiashi branch have since been suspended pending further investigations.
Right, so the story continues. I'll be following up and giving you more in our subsequent bulletins. But still on banking, the Universal Merchant Bank UMB has pledged to provide credit facility to individuals and groups desirous of producing crops to feed the proposed One District, One Factory program. The Chief Operating Officer of the bank, Benjamin Amenume, disclosed this during the opening of the Sunyani branch of the bank.
UMB established its first branch in Brongafo at Techiman and followed this with the opening of the Sunyani branch. Addressing the gathering, the Chief Operating Officer, Benjamin Amenume, said the bank is poised to render excellent services to its customers nationwide. In furtherance of that, he said the bank is putting in place some innovative ways, which include digital banking to serve the needs of its prospective customers.
Our leading and innovative mobile banking app, the UMB Speed app, is available for Android, iOS, Windows, mobile devices, allows you to access many of our services including mobile airtime top-up, cardless withdrawal at any of our UMB ATMs, instant transfer of funds locally, mobile money transfers, requests for investments, requests for loans, and so much more.
Chief Operating Officer Benjamin Amenume explained the essence of the digital banking and the credit facility that would be granted to interested persons upon request.
This new branch is our second in Brongafo. Will provide convenient service to our existing and potential customers. I want to assure you all once more that Universal Merchant Bank UMB is devoted to creating and providing superior value to our customers. I would therefore entreat those of you who don't have an account with UMB to immediately open one.
And away from banking now, PZ Cousins, producers of Cousins Baby range of products, have launched its Maiden Cousins Baby Moments competition. Mothers would have to capture sensational moments in the lives of their babies to enable them win the ultimate prize of 10,000 cedis.
To enter the competition, mothers are encouraged to buy 3 products from the PZ Cousins product line, take a picture of their baby, who should not be more than 24 months old. After 5 weeks, 100 pictures will be shortlisted and presented for public vote. The top 50 will be selected by a panel of 4 judges and then presented again for public vote, where the top 20 will be considered for the next stage. The judges will again trim the number to 10, where a winner will be declared. Marketing Manager of PZ Cousins, Marianne Boatin, explained the motivation behind the initiative.
One of the ways we think that people can come together and enjoy and have fun as families is taking pictures, capturing memories. So this is one of the reasons why we decided to launch the Cousins Baby Moments competition in Ghana. Whilst having fun, whilst capturing moments, taking pictures, enjoying yourselves, you also have an opportunity to win amazing prizes as well, including the grand prize of 10,000 cedis.
Latifa, a mother who just took part in the competition, could not hide her joy.
I feel elated because my baby is a star already. Yes, and we have a very big hamper we are taking home, and I'm sure for the next couple of months or years, I'm not going to buy any baby soap or cream for my baby.
Endorsed by the Ghana Midwifery Association, Ghana Medical Association and the Ghana Pediatric Society, the baby skin care brand has over the years updated mothers on baby skin care practices.
Well, sounds like exciting news for mothers and babies. But that's how we draw the curtain on the business segment. There's more on 3news.com. My name is Nanikia Mensah Brampa. I standing by with more.
Thank you, Danica. Let's do some more stories on News 360 tonight. Two major teacher unions have praised government for initiating steps to roll out the semester program from the next academic year. The Ghana National Association of Teachers and Coalition of Concerned Teachers implored government to consider increasing allowances of teachers when the policy begins.
The Ghana National Association of Teachers, NAT, for the past 4 years has called for a semester program for senior high school. The association has always been of the view that the number of students far outstrip teachers and the need for the semester program. In 2017, an additional 90,000 students were enrolled following free senior high school program. This year, the Ministry of Education has projected the number to increase by more than 180,000. General Secretary of Ghana National Association of Teachers, NAT, David Ofore Champon, praised government for the intervention that requested the ministry to explain how the policy will run and motivation for teachers.
There is also a discussion between the Ministry of Education and the West Africa Examination Council for a shift in the period of the examination. That one is still not concluded. In order to make up for the syllabus, the completion of the syllabus, there could be an 1 hour extension to the normal closing period as of today. That one, it will come with cost to government, and it's part of the discussion. Well, the indications from our first meeting was that yes, they were committed in making sure that whatever time they add on will be compensated for.
The communication director for the Coalition of Concerned Teachers, Adokwe Awule, supported government for introducing the semester program.
The results are released somewhere at the end of August, and we start posting them. Will you be happy that your ward will go to senior high school and will not even get a place to sit, to learn? And at the end of the day, you are being given the option that they should stay in the house for 3 months and then they come and then the others also go. I think for now, where we have gotten to, this is the right decision to take at this time.
In another development, both unions have lauded the Ministry of Education for initiating investigations into the number of students who failed the WASSCE exams.
That has always been the perception of the whole population, that any time students don't do well, the teachers are to be blamed. But any time the students do well, the students did well, not the teachers who did well. So it is not an issue of tagging only teachers as the cause of what has happened. It is a broader issue of a lot of issues which we will leave the Ministry of Education to investigate and come out with.
There was something in the single spine salary structure where science and maths teachers ought to be motivated. They were supposed to be given some category, we call them category 2 and 3 allowances, special allowances, to encourage more teachers to go into maths and science, so that at the end of the day we will have well-qualified teachers to teach.
In the WASSCE exams, 46.79% passed English, while 73.27% passed social studies.
And let's now turn over to Parliament this evening as the hearing by the Privileges Committee on an allegation brought to it about disparaging comments made by the MP for Asin Central, Kennedy Ejapong, was reduced to a hearing of semantics when the begrudged MP appeared before the committee. For what was entirely based on comments made in the Akan dialect, the MP is alleged to have said Parliament is useless, which he challenges to be rather cheap, a situation brought about by the of 2 words in the Akan dialect.
Honorable Kennedy Ejapong was appearing for the second time before the Privileges Committee after an earlier hearing was brought to an abrupt end when notice was served that some members recused themselves over possible bias. Colleague MP and counsel for Kennedy Ejapong raised objections of a likely prejudice that might be incurred as a result of the chairman of the committee, Honorable Joe Seusu, playing the role of first speaker who referred the inquiry to a committee which he chairs. The chairman of the committee, however, overruled the objections and asked for the playback of evidence as presented by Honorable Muntaka Mohammed.
Are you out of your mind? Parliament
Kennedy Agyapong was subsequently sworn in. He accepted he was the man in the video played and then challenged why he received a different copy of evidence from what was presented to the public during the hearing. He said the evidence presented was not authentic, that it was edited and presented to suit the complainant's agenda.
And just watch what you gave to me. Why is it that you're doing the presentation to me and it's only Oman FM, and you give evidence to me it's Adum FM and Oman FM, and everybody don't seem to agree? Play it yourself. This is the evidence submitted to me. I just want to know that. With all respect to members, I want your laptop to be here and play it.
Don't worry, we'll play it.
Good.
The evidence he received that contained the two videos was subsequently played, but then came the argument about semantics.
The evidence given to me here indicates that he has used two radio stations saying that I have never said that the leader is useless. And it's here, by your own invitation, with all due respect.
The MP, who said he was not a tin god, however says he was not above the law and subsequently apologized to the majority leader.
I'm not a tin god, no. But I was furious at Muntaka because he also did not cross-check his facts. But I apologize to Parliament. I don't have a problem at all.
The hearing was reduced to a back and forth about the sourcing of the said disparaging comment and whether the said word used was useless or cheap. The video was played back another time. Proceedings was adjourned to an unannounced date.
News 360 will return shortly with the man who has all the story on sports.
Welcome back to News 360. And some more news this evening. The civil society movement on social inclusion condemns the act of violent misconduct by a police officer against a woman at the Midland Savings and Loans branch in Accra, which reportedly occurred on Thursday, July 19, 2018. In a release dated July 23, 2018, the group condemned the detestable act of brute force against the woman. In the video that went viral, they stated recent reports of rising police officers' infractions, especially in relation to the violation of the human rights of Ghanaians, and it's referring to fear and panic among the citizenry. Accordingly, the movement is in the full support of ongoing investigations of the matter and is urging the Ghana Police Service to make them transparent as well and share outcomes with the public.
Up next, some international news, and militant Islamists have stormed a military base in southern Somalia after detonating a suicide car bomb. Al-Shabaab says its fighters killed 27 soldiers in the raid about 50 kilometers from the port city of Kismayo. All right, up next is some entertainment news with Miriam.
So it was a very exciting weekend for rappers in the Oil City. Now, you know the Connect FM rap battle is still on. It continued in the Oil City of Takoradi in the Western region. At the end of the competition, the judges were compelled to choose 4 champions instead of 3.
The Takoradi edition of Connect FM's Street Rap Battle produced so much heat that judges had to pick 4 champions instead of 3. 20 underground rappers featured on the night that unearthed interesting and promising talents. At the end of 2 rounds of jaw-dropping rap, the judges could not help but break the shortlist rule to pick 4 instead of 3 rappers. The 4 showed why they were the best.
Ghanaian award-winning rapper Michael Owusu-Addo, known on stage as Sarkodie, has tied the knot with his longtime sweetheart, Irama Tracy. The traditional marriage ceremony took place in Tema in Accra on July 17th, while the wedding was held over the weekend.
Sarkodie, until his wedding, was trolled for not marrying his longtime girlfriend, Irama Tracy. The rapper over the weekend silenced his critics with a splendid white wedding at the Labadi Beach Hotel after his traditional marriage in Tema. The Strictly by Invitation event saw numerous celebrities, the likes of Jocelyn Dumas, K.O.D., Juliet Ibrahim, Kofi Amwabing, Nana Baru, among others. As a couple, they have an adorable daughter, Adeline Owusu-Addo, Titi.
We wish them the very best. That's about it for entertainment news. And Miriam, there's more news on 3news.com. And I'll catch you on the Urban Blend tomorrow at 10 a.m. Hello, Issa.
Hi. Hi, Miriam. I kind of like the street rap. Reminds me of how, boys used to rap with their stereos.
Did you ever try it?
Corners. Well, maybe I
think you want to bust the
That's it for this edition of News 360. My name is Lisa Moni.
And I'm Natalie Forts. Thanks so much for watching. There's more news on our website. It's 3news.com. News at 10 will simulcast our sister station 3FM 92.7. Have a lovely evening.